With the Christmas holidays here and federal unemployment benefits expiring in just 2 days, all eyes are on Congress's highly anticipated COVID-19 relief package. But President Trump is refusing to sign the bipartisan $900 billion deal because he says the individual stimulus checks should be increased from $600 to $2,000 each. In the CARES Act, qualifying taxpayers received $1,200 checks. Stephen Gandel is the senior reporter for CBS News MoneyWatch. Stephen, thank you for joining us. So, obviously, nice to see you. $2,000 is a lot more than $600. But how significant would this jump be for Americans struggling financially? And how far can the $600 checks go?
It's $2,000, for a couple, it becomes $4,000. And right now, at least in the bill, it's $600 per child. So that gets you up to $5,200 for a family of four. That's a significant amount of money, right? That's the average monthly expenses of an American family. So you kind of get 1 month free. That's probably some money in the bank. The average American has about $2,000. The median family has about $2,000 in their checking account. So, double the savings if you were to put it away. $600 will help, but we're hearing from a lot of people that studies have heard, or surveys have heard, that people were counting on this money before they knew whether it was going to be $600 or $2,000. There are 60% of Americans have taken a financial hit during this coronavirus pandemic. And 40% of Americans said they were counting on something. They need something from the government to help them get through it.
Yeah, these are desperate times for a lot of American families. But that $1,200 stimulus check, it seemed to be a relief for a lot of people out there.
It was. It was one of the more popular parts of the stimulus package. And for the thing that's important about it is that it depended how much was in your bank account. It wasn't necessarily, even though whether you got paid was tied to income, that is not always how much people are saving. So if you didn't have a lot in your bank account, which is unfortunately a lot of Americans, they tended to spend that money, and it tended to be very good stimulus. If people had money in their bank account, they used it to pay off debt, or they added to the savings. We saw a big jump in the savings rate. And the finances of Americans, while it did get worse during the pandemic, this was a pretty severe economic recession. And so the average finances of the average American, they didn't do as badly as economists were predicting. That's very good news for the individual. It didn't provide a lot of stimulus.
Let's talk about the Paycheck Protection Program. I'm sorry?
For the Paycheck Protection Program, that did provide a lot of stimulus. The problem there with that program was there was a lot of fraud, which, we didn't have as much fraud in the direct checks, which didn't provide as much kind of overall stimulus to the economy. But the PPP program tended to save a fair amount of jobs. We heard from a lot of small businesses that they were able to keep operating. And again, just like the stimulus, with the Paycheck program, we've heard from a lot of small businesses that they're counting on this money. They need this money, and this new money they put into the program, $285 billion, is expected to help a lot.
Let's talk about that fraud. And I say that because I saw a number somewhere recently north of $600 million worth of fraud. Is that a number that you've heard?
Yes. I mean, documented, meaning cases that the government has brought. They brought 80 cases for around $125 million in fraud. But there are some estimates and surveys that said not only $600 million, it's in the billions. I believe a House committee put it at $4 billion. So lots of fraud, compared to the overall stimulus effort, like we're talking about another $900 billion. It doesn't sound like a lot, but this is a lot to come out of one program, billions of dollars in fraud. And it happened because people they applied for money for businesses that were already closed. They applied for money that they said they were going to use for their business to help employees. They didn't. They used it to buy expensive cars and vacations. And so the problem was there wasn't a lot of monitoring putting in this bill. There was just an emphasis on getting the money out quick. Applications came into banks. Banks were not held liable if those applications were clearly fraudulent. they shipped money out the door, and some of that money didn't go where it was supposed to.
That is just stunning. Those numbers are stunning. And I want to ask you real quick, we don't have a lot of time, but will taxpayers ever get that money back?
The fraud, here's the thing about it. So the money, what we care about is the money going to companies that need it the most. In fact, the economic problem is not actually with the fraud. It's with the money going to businesses that don't really need the money, right? In this first round of stimulus, there was no check that your business had gone down, right? So there were a lot of companies and small and businesses that did well, like cleaning companies or gun retailers or things where they didn't see a drop in the business and they got help from the government anyway. That's kind of more economic waste. For the money that was pure fraud, it actually kind of oddly helps the economy, and those people spent the money, right? I mean, that sort of helps, but it's been spent, and we're not likely to see it back as taxpayers.
On that note, Stephen, thank you for your time. Happy holidays.
You too. Thanks very much.